Hello. Um, I wanted to, I guess, say that um, my camera cut off again. It was saying because my phone was out of memory, which is ridiculous because I still had memory on my phone. So I did make a third part, but it was just like at that point I was like so frustrated with the phone and everything like that that I didn't really have any clear direction with the third part or the conclusion of the 13 lunar tones and the 20 solar seals. So I just decided to just redo it today. I have a few hours of sunlight. Um, I don't remember if like because I ended up making like 5 videos, but only ended up uploading 3 of them. I can't remember exactly everything that I said, but uh, essentially with my current situation, I don't have proper lighting. If you can see the ceiling fan in the background, it has the ceiling fan part but no light, so I've always had to use a few lamps, or a lamp and then some various different LED lights and stuff, so I don't have proper lighting to make videos at night and be able to show, anything. So, but I went to bed early, so, and I'm usually up at night because I work at night, but I guess I've just been feeling like go to bed early. I don't know why. It's just what feels natural. But yeah, that the last two or the first 2 parts ended up cutting off prematurely, so I wanted to kind of, you know, try to make this as concise as possible. So I figured I'd just make a conclusion video. But I did make a mistake in the previous video talking about the 20 solar seals, saying that the red ones make a square. They actually make a pentagram because there's 5. I was feeling rushed at that point, and I was like kind of fretting over the possibility of it cutting off, so I kind of slipped up and I wasn't paying attention to everything I was saying. But I pretty much got everything out that I wanted to talk about. I did kind of branch out into various different things that didn't come to proper conclusions, specifically the pulsars and the oracle. And there were various different graphics that I didn't have present. But these videos, I'm still in the early phase of this channel, so as of right now, I'm kind of just like making a broad stroke over all the basics and stuff like that. I feel like I got to get the basics out first before I start diving deep, just on the off chance that the people watching my videos have like, you know, little to no introduction in this stuff. But I can't remember if I mentioned this, but or if it was in one of the videos that I didn't upload, but I want to tell people that if they want to learn more of the basics in depth, I would consider going to lawoftime.org, as well as the official Law of Time YouTube channel, ran by Jacob Rhythmic Dragon. He gives forecasts of each moon as they come. It's not as, about the basics, and it's not as detailed, but he does give good information and a very interesting perspective. And also check out Dream Spell Calendar Explained. She probably does the best job that I can find on YouTube going into the basics and everything like that, and talking about all the different facets of just the general knowledge to get a lot of people initiated within this knowledge system. Is also as well, check out the YouTube channel called Flow with Joe. That's J-O. It's ran by Joe Kenworthy, and she also provides special services for people who are experiencing emotional trauma and who seek to learn various different techniques and information in order to help clear their engrams, if you will, like traumatic memories and things like that that keep people locked in a state of suffering emotionally and psychologically and stuff. But okay, those channels aside, I pretty much mentioned everything that I wanted to mention regarding, because originally I wanted to just make a video, like one concise video on the lunar tones, and after I had gotten through all the different tones and how they operate within the wave spell, I moved on to the pulsars, but I remembered that overtone pulsars specific, you have to have information about the solar seals, and before I could fully explain the solar seals in that one video, the camera cut off. So when I came back, I was just going to conclude that video, but then I figured if I'm already getting into the solar seals and I was planning on making a video of the solar seals later that day, I figured I'd just go ahead and, and then make that video. So and then when I got towards the end of that video, it cut off again. So I wasn't able to I wasn't able to make like concise videos, because as of right now, I don't have a computer, I don't have editing software. There are certain limitations that I am experiencing at the moment, so this is as best as I can do, is just make these, uncut, just rough, one continuous stream of thought with a phone, So, but I essentially got all the information out of the basics of the 13 lunar tones and the 20 solar seals. There's still a lot of information to get into. Like, for instance, how they, so if you've seen the first two videos, and, you've watched these in order, I guess I'll just go from there. So basically, now you know the structure of the wave spell, and now you know the structure of the vigesimal system of the 20 solar seals. So essentially, at that point, now that you understand those things, the best thing to do if you want to continue understanding this stuff, and by the way, I'm just going to let you know, the camera may cut off at some random point, so I'm just letting y'all know. I cleared as much of the memory as I can, the storage on the phone, but just keep that in mind. But, so the best thing that you can do to, basically learn more of this information is start following the daily kin. You can find out the current moon and daily kin information on the lawoftime.org website. You can also check out Space Station Plaza. I believe it's .com, could be .net or something like that, but it's Space Station Plaza, all one word. I think .com, but that also has the daily kin information. Another thing that is important is to decode your galactic signature, essentially find out the kin on the Zulkin that you were born on. If you need help with that, just comment below and I will send you a link to help you to decode that. That's very important. It's very important to know the daily kin for every single day. It's important to know your galactic signature. It's important to know which moon we're in. It's important to know the specific kin that's coded, the year. Beyond that, it's essentially more detailed information. It's also important to know how many Zulkin, your Zulkin age. Like, for instance, I'm 29 Hob, or Song as I call it, or that essentially translates to 29 years old. We're talking about the 364, 365 day cycle. So according to that, I'm 29 years old. I was born in 1992, which is cool because 92 and 29 are mirrors. But I'm also 41 Zulkin, because the Zulkin is a 260 day cycle. So I've been alive for essentially 41 of those 260 galactic spins. And that translates to the red lunar dragon, and also being kin 96, yellow overtone warrior. I'm in my 29th year. That basically codes my, essentially, like, every single year of your life, whenever your birthday comes around, the moon and the day of that moon you were born on, every single time that comes around, each year of your life is coded by a different galactic signature. And so understanding that is important. Um, it cycles. It takes 52 years to get back to the beginning. So it's really interesting to understand that as well. Um, but yeah, like the wave spells and the specific seals that are within each wave spell essentially give it a pattern or a construct that helps you to understand the relationship of them, to give you an idea of how each day unfolds and how each day relates to the other days within that wave spell. Um, Again, even though Hob is 365 days long, the Zolkin is only 260 days. So we cycle through the Zolkin much more often and much more quickly than the annual cycle, if you will. So it's really good to follow the Zolkin every single day until you get to a point where you're back at Kin 1, and then from Kin 1, start like jotting down all the different synchronicities that you experience every single kin. And when you get all the way to Kin 260, like keep those notes aside, and then start writing notes for the next Zolkin, and then just start kind of like looking back on your life and on the previous Zolkin, and then this current Zolkin, and then the next, and eventually you'll start to see how the patterns of our lives are all synchronized and they all are weaved together. Because every single wave spell, take for instance the very first wave spell, the Red Dragon wave spell, the purpose of that wave spell is all about the Red Dragon. But since the next kin is Kin 002, or Kin 2, that's White Lunar Wind, the challenge of that wave spell is all about the wind. And then the next kin is Blue Electric Night, Kin 3003. Then the service to provide is the service of the Blue Night. And then the next would be Yellow Seed, Yellow Self-Existing Seed, Kin 4. That provides the form of the service. And then the overtone would be Kin 5, Red Overtone Serpent. That would provide the deeper meanings or the nuance of the wave spell. And then so on and so forth. You see how each wave spell has a specific construct of combinations of the lunar tones and the solar seals. So every single wave spell has a specific pattern to it. And by starting to follow it every single day, we may not completely understand it in the beginning, because it can be a lot at times. But if we follow it for the next, 10 Zolkins, eventually we'll start to kind of get an idea of how these patterns relate to us and how they unfold and how they bring up specific significant information and then relay that over and over again in our lives. And all I can say is you just have to keep following it and keep paying attention, and the synchronization will become more apparent. See, the truth is we're always synchronizing, whether we're aware of it or not. The difference is just that we're aware of it. It's really interesting to discover the law of time and it be a new thing in your mind, but then to utilize it to look back at your past and see how everything that's happened to us was very specific. That there was a reason to all the different little important things and even the more important things that happened to us in our life. As well as look forward to the future. That way you can kind of get an idea of the years to come and how those are going to be significant in your life. You'll be able to figure out the specific kin that's going to be for when you're age 33 or when you're age 41. You'll be able to figure out what that year for you is going to be like, because every single kin that codes the years of our life can be compared with our galactic signature, and that'll reveal even more information because it's all mathematical. And when you understand the significance of the archetype or the meaning that's assigned to specific numbers, it basically enlivens the number. It gives it life. It gives it personality. And that's what this is all about, you know? And all of these different archetypes and all these different symbols and the things that we attribute to these are essentially constantly being updated. That's essentially why I basically have given new meanings to the things that Jose Arguelles had translated and put down based off of the ancient Mayan calendars. And it's always in a process of renewal and rebirth, and there's always deeper meanings. So this is one reason why I like to share this information, is because on the hopes that other people will get it and feel it and understand it, and also want to follow it every day, so that they can bring me knowledge that I've not thought of yet, or not realized or discovered. And also because everybody has a unique code to their life, specific numbers that are important. Therefore, they have specific skills and weaknesses. Everybody's like that, you know, that they'll be able to figure out and hone in on specific information and skills that I'm not capable of. And they'll be able to bring forth knowledge in a way that is, you know, concise and, you know, like, I don't want to say perfected, but, you know, refined, and basically save me time on having to spend, you know, 10 years on every single major subject of life, and to get to a point where I understand it. You know, that's the goal, is we all realize the significance of our life, and then we start refining and ripening our skills. That way we can share it with others, and then we can all have the knowledge. I remember a friend, shout out to Clayton Ellenwood, who's Ken 069 or Ken 69, Red Self-Existing Moon. He told me, if I were to give you $1 and you gave me $1, we'd both walk away with $1. But if I gave you an idea and you gave me an idea, we'd both walk away with 2 ideas. So that's essentially, in essence, what the goal is to get everybody awakened, not only to the divinity of life, right, that is encoded within these higher mathematical systems, but to get people on the right map of time. That way they're following galactic cycles, and to be more in tune with the universe and how it's constructed and how it works, and it's all encoded within the numbering system. It's always been there. I mean, if you look at the core of every major religious text or philosophy and stuff, at the basis of it and at the core of it is all mathematics. And I don't mean that in like a cold, clinical, logical, you know, way. It one of the biggest lies that we've been told is that mathematics are just simply about quantity, and that's it, that they don't have a quality to them. And the opposite is true. Numbers have a quality, like, that is very obvious. It's very intuitive. Like when you think of the number 1, the number 1 represents everything as a unity, everything as one unit, as one whole, complete, no divisions. But when you think of the number 2, that makes a clear distinction of like yin yang, you know, black and white, up and down, left and right, forward and backwards, big and small, old and young, man and woman. You know, it's like everything in life is dualistic. You know, I mean, you can look at it that way. And by understanding the number 2 and how it relates to number 1, and how both of those numbers relate to 3 and 4 and so on, you start to see that each one of the numbers reveals so much information. So yeah, I mean, it's important to understand the true archetypes of number, which is what the Mayans had encoded within the Tzolk'in. And some of the things that I had talked about, for instance, the pulsars, I'm going to make a video specifically on pulsars, because I didn't really get into it as deeply as I wanted to. I'm going to make a video about the Oracle, just the Oracle itself, again, because I didn't get into it as deep as I wanted to. You know, a lot of these early videos on the channel right now, they're just kind of, again, they're just kind of going over things in sort of like an open and vague kind of way. As the channel grows, and hopefully as I get more access to a computer and other various sorts of things to make better content, I'm going to do that and be able to make shorter videos that are to the point, and I'll be able to edit them and everything. But yeah, it's real interesting whenever you kind of start to see the greater pattern or the greater weaving of how all these things are cooperating all at once. And it just kind of gives you like a better idea or more solace in the things that happen to us in life. Because a lot of us, we're just kind of going through the motions and the flow of life without understanding that there is a higher reason to these things. And because we don't have like a sort of logical understanding of things, or why the higher forces at work create miracles and accidents and all these things, because we don't have a clear understanding of those things, because we've been programmed to lose touch with the personality and the archetype of number, as well as the heavens themselves. You know, it causes us to not care about the consequences of our actions as much. It's like, because there's no higher purpose, because, you know, a lot of people have lost touch with what they would call God, or, you know, the divine nature. And because they've lost touch with that and they think there's no point to it, they're more prone to just not care about what they're doing. You know, they're more likely to do things they probably shouldn't do. You know, so it's like, that's the goal, you know, is to just reconnect people back to that synchronistic nature of life, and how there is an order to it. It's just that first, before you start understanding that there's an order to nature, it seems very chaotic and random and complex and stuff. But as you know, start with the basics and you go from there and you start to understand it more and more, you realize that it's actually very simple. It's very, very simple. And I would not say to take it on faith. Like, I'm not saying that, you know, I know everything regarding the Tzolk'in and the 13 lunar tones and the 20 solar seals, the Hob and everything. I'm not saying just agree with it and believe it without understanding, like, I don't want to say science, but the proofs of it, you know, the truth of it, you know what I mean? Like, that these things are legit and there is there is ground to it. But just start looking into it and following it every day, and over time the synchronizations just happen to you. It's not really something that you have to try so hard to do, which is why I feel so connected with the Tao, and following the Tao as well as the law of time have made me realize that they are connected. All these various different things that are significant mathematically are connected, and it's just gotten me to a point where I feel connected with the universe, both on the outside and the inside, to where I know that that the feelings and the thoughts that I'm having and the things that are going on inside me are for a higher purpose. And I still go through a lot of the same things in life as I used to, but now there's like a sort of understanding as to why I make those choices and why I do those things. And it's weird. It's like I have been following my instinct for a long time now, my intuition, but I used to like doubt it, and I used to, beat myself up over the things that I felt was right, even though I didn't understand it. But even though I continue to do what I feel is right, now I understand that there's a reason behind it. That's the only thing that's changed. So it's just about reconnecting with that. Uh, it's like in the Tao, you don't want to write down absolute laws of what people should be like and what they should do. You can feel it. It's like in the Tao, it says you can feel what's right. Um, and and you can see whether people are doing the right thing by the fruits of their actions. Um, and when those things happen, you'll be able to instantly know right away whether if it was right or wrong. But to put it down into law and words, that's where it can kind of get complicated, because life is always changing. Obviously, there are absolute things that nobody should be doing, you know what I mean? But all of us who have that sense of right and wrong obviously know what's right and wrong. And I don't need to say it, you know what I mean? Because you already know, I already know, you know what I mean? But I mean, what else is there to say about the law of time? About the solar seals and the lunar tones? I guess this is kind of turned into a vlog. But again, the only reason why I'm making this video is to make a proper conclusion to the last two videos since the camera cut off. But let me try and think. I guess I'll point out a few things. Here, let me smoke some old Toby out of my pipe real quick, and I'll kind of like just kind of point some stuff out. I'm not going to go into depth about it, just because I don't feel like making any more videos today. Pipe is clogged. Let me find out real quick. So, I guess some of the things I'm going to show you are, one, no, it's still clogged. It must be in the bowl. One of the things about the Zulkin is its construct, the shape of it, and why the Mayans were so specific about the way that they illustrated it. And the first time I saw it, or the first few years that I looked at it, I didn't really pick up on those things. But eventually, at some point, I started listening to Jose Arguelles and a lot of his older interviews, which I didn't even know were there till I kind of went around looking for it. He pointed some stuff out. It's really interesting about the construct of the Zulkin. So, if you look at the Zulkin, you'll realize, as I mentioned prior, the first seal begins up here, and then you go downwards in these rows, or these columns, right? And you'll notice that there are 13 in number, because it's essentially a magic square. It's a grid that's 13 across and 20 down, because you go through each of the 20 solar seals, and there are 13 columns across. So one thing you'll notice is that since there are 13, you have this middle central column here. That would be the resonant or the seventh column, which represents the spine, right? And I pointed these out one time, but I didn't explain what they are. These green squares here, these are what are known as galactic activation portal days, or this design was known as the loom of Maya. And there is very specific information regarding these. There are 52 of them, 26 on each side, with this seventh column with not a single one in there, right? And you'll notice that in the sixth and the eighth column there are these that are 10 days in a row. So that seventh column represents the spine. Now I'll show you something. The mathematics of the human body are very interesting. The decimal system is not only encoded by the 20 solar seals or signs, but they're on the human body as well, with the 10 fingers and the 10 toes. And each of the different solar seals resonate with a specific finger or toe. The 13 lunar tones are also encoded within the human body with the 13 joints or the 13 articulations of the human body. You have two ankles, 2 knees, 2 hips, 2 wrists, 2 elbows, and 2 shoulders, making 12. 3 on the legs, and for both legs, that making 6, and then you have 6 on your upper body for 3 for each arm. And then you have the neck and the spine, right, which is the center 7. So the 7 goes back to the spine. That's where your 7 chakras are located. And there are 33 vertebrae within the human spine, which goes back to the mathematics of Jesus Christ, whom lived 33 years and performed 33 miracles and died at the age of 33. That's very important because it goes back to the spinal column. Of the 65 harmonics, which again, within the Zolkin are 4-day cycles, right? So for every 4 days, that's 1 harmonic. 4 times 65 is 260. Of the 65, if you were to lay out the numbers 1 to 65 on a number line, 33 sits perfectly in the center, because you have the first 32, the 33rd in the center, and then the second set of 32. And those 2 sets of 32 make 64, which go back to, again, the 64 hexagrams of the I Ching, the 64 codons of the human DNA, the 64 3-breath sequences, the 64 squares on the chessboard, which encodes deep mathematics on its own. And all these things are interrelated because they point back to the spine. They point back to the chakras, the health of the human body, the energy field, the toroidal field, the torus. And it's all centered around the human spinal column. This is like, it's like the spine on a book, it's the very center. So it's all that is like interconnected. Another interesting thing about the structure of the Zolkin is, oh yeah, and by the way, these 52 gapkins of the loom of Maya, right? They are, each one of them resonate with 1 year of the 52 Destiny Castle Hobbs sequence, right? Because 52 Hobbs, right, or 52 cycles of 365 days equals 18,980. That's how many days are within a Destiny Castle. It takes 52 years to cycle through that. And what also equals 18,980 are 73 Zolkins. So for every 52 years or Hobbs, there are 73 Zolkins that that cycle through. So that's another interesting thing. And each of the 52 Hobbs within that sequence are coded by the 13 lunar tones and the 4 kin of the Gateway Earth family. So it begins with red magnetic moon, and then it goes to the next lunar tone, which is lunar, and then the white kin of the Gateway family, which is the wizard, and then it goes to the blue storm, and electric, the third tone. And then it goes to yellow seed, the yellow of the gateway earth family, and the fourth lunar tone. So it goes through basically the lunar tones 4 times, making 52, and it goes through the gateway earth family 13 times, making 52. So for every 52 years, it's coded by that sequence, which is why this year is the yellow electric seed year. We are in the second 13-year cycle. Yeah, the 52 Destiny Castle is made up of 4 13-year cycles. And that repeats every 52 years, and every 52 years we have 73 Zulkans. And within the 365-day cycle, there are 73 chromatics, which are 5-day cycles. So the number 73 is important, and I'm just scratching the surface with the number 73. What's interesting about the number 73 is that it's the 21st prime number, and 73's mirror is 37, which is the 12th prime number, 21's mirror. So 73 is the 21st prime, and 37 is the 12th prime, which is why 12 and 21 and 37 and 73 are significant. Again, me pointing out, if you lay out a number line from 1 to 65, 33 is in the center. If you lay out the number line from 1 to 73, 37 is in the center. So again, and going back to the winter solstice of 2012, remember they were saying that the Mayan calendar was coming to an end on December 21st, 2012. Well, there's the 1221 encoded. But the synchronizations between the false Gregorian calendar and the Mayan calendar are pretty interesting in and of themselves. However, the Gregorian calendar is still a false and incorrect calendar. But again, even then, the Mayan calendar of the Hob and the Zulkan and even the larger cycles can even show significance of how to synchronize that back into the fold. But, you know, obviously without it having any sort of significance, because when you follow the Gregorian calendar, there really is no significance to it other than the occult names of the days of the week and the weird shifty names of the months. So each of the 52 Gapkin synchronizes with each of the 52 years of the Destiny Castle. So if you are a Gapkin, for instance, you'll be able to know which of those 52 years will be the most significant to you because of the one that it lines up with, which is really interesting because here, not too long ago, I think it was in the electric moon, which is the moon that I was born in. I was born on the second day of the electric moon. I found out that this current Hob, coded by the yellow electric seed, Ken 224, is the 16th year of the 52 years, right? Is the 16th. It is in the second portion, like I said, that we're in right now. And I'm Ken 96, 096, which is yellow overtone warrior, or 5 warrior, and that is the 16th gap day. So the time that I figured that the 52 gap can synchronize with the 52 years of the Destiny Castle was the year that synchronizes with my particular kin, which is a gap kin. So I thought that was pretty interesting. See, it's things like that. It's significant things like that you know, it's like the moment you realize something, or the moment you get or something happens and you look at what time it is, and whatever time it is, that those numbers are important for something that's going to happen. And I have a whole story about the numbers 21 and 29 that are pretty significant and pretty interesting. But I guess I'm not going to talk about it right now. I'll probably talk about it later on. Yeah, it's again, it feels like the universe is alive, and that it's coordinating our consciousness to make certain discoveries at certain points that just sort of come as revelation. It's like a cosmic download. And again, doing the sacred G breath is key. Begin with the sacred G breath. Watch the video that I made, research it, find other videos, follow the G breath, learn it, make it second nature, master it, right? Perfect it, because it is vital to understanding a lot of this stream in which I'm communicating, the stream of consciousness. You're not doing the sacred G breath, you'll only get like 1% of really what I'm saying. As soon as you start doing the G breath, it will further synchronize you. It'll further synchronize you to a point where without the G breath, you know, this stuff is essentially pointless. You have to be doing the G breath, and from there, you can go from there. Again, the G breath is level 1, but you have to master it in order to move forward, to learn the more complex breathing codes. And as you learn them and as you incorporate them and go through them, eventually you'll realize that they are converting large amounts of memory, and a lot of the things that plague you or bother you will be a thing of the past. Obviously, it's a process, so there will be challenge along the way, but the ultimate goal is to purify the earth, and to purify ourselves, and to cleanse ourselves of the wrongdoings of the past, and the things that which have poisoned and plagued us. And the G breath is the key. And then after learning the G breath, it's good to follow the law of time, understand septenary gematria. Whether you're an English speaker or not, it's not the English language I'm talking about that's significant, it's the English alphabet, because essentially all alphabets are the same. But what's most important out of all the alphabets is the English alphabet, because it is one of the newest, and it is the most refined and perfected, if not the most perfected. Septenary gematria is, in my opinion, the most synchronistic cipher. I'm not going to say it's the most powerful or if it's the most important. It's the most synchronistic, is what I'll say. What else is there to say? There was something else I wanted to mention. But yeah, I guess I'll stop the video here. I've essentially said everything that I meant. Well, actually, I'll point this out. This is pretty cool. So, thinking of septenary gematria, let me see if I have a picture with it on there so I can show you again. Yeah, here we go. I think this is it. No, that's the G breath graphic. Yeah, okay, so speaking of septenary gematria, can you see it? You might have to up the brightness on your phone. The sun's behind the camera, so. But as you can see, let's look at the words for the 7th solar seal, blue hand, right? So, B is 2, L is 2, U is 6, and E is 5. So BLUE is 2265. Add those up. You get 15. Now hand is 6, 1, 1, 4. And 6 plus 1 plus 1 plus 4 is 12. So the words blue hand, blue equals 15 and hand equals 12. Add 15 and 12, you get 27. And on the Zolkin, Ken 27, if you may have to pull up an image online, but Ken 27 is blue magnetic hand. The kin that begins and leads and guides the blue hand wave spell. Because remember what I said? All the magnetic kin begin their respective wave spell. So, Kin 27 is the 3rd wave spell, because Kins 1 to 13 are the red dragon. Kins 14 to 26 are the white wizard wave spells. And so Kin 27 to 39 is the blue hand wave spell. So in septenary gematria, the words blue hand sum to 27, and Kin 27 is blue magnetic hand. And what's also interesting is that within one hand, you have 27 bones. Shout out to Marty Leeds, because without him, I wouldn't have known that. So in septenary gematria, the words blue hand sum to 27. On the Tzolk'in, Kin 27 is blue magnetic hand, or that's the first lunar tone, so that's one hand, and within one hand you have 27 bones. Coincidence? Or is this, what do they call it? Apophenia, I think is what they call it, where you make connections that aren't there. Is it that, or coincidental? I don't know. You be the judge. But all I know is that this is the kind of resonance that I want to attune with, right? This is the kind of information that I'm about, because that's just one little piece. Again, there's so much infinite information to uncover. And I mentioned this, here's another thing, and yeah, this has just turned into a vlog. Here's another interesting thing. So, shout out to Syncretism Society with Santos and Daniel down in Puerto Morelos, Mexico. And what they're doing, I called in on one of their live call-in shows, and I mentioned something that I didn't exactly know the numbers of what it was, because I had written it down, and then because it was the first time I discovered it, I didn't remember them off the top of my head, and I didn't have them present when I called in and talked to them. But now that I have this YouTube channel, I'll just go ahead and mention it with the numbers. So, thinking of the synchronization between the septenary gematria cipher and the 13 lunar tones. So, the words that Jose Arguelles translated the 13 lunar tones in English were, again, magnetic, lunar, electric, self-existing, overtone, rhythmic, resonant, galactic, solar, planetary, spectral, crystal, and cosmic. If you were to put each one of those words through the cipher and figure out their numerical values, for instance, magnetic equals 30, lunar equals 15, electric 35, self-existing, both of them together make 58, overtone is 32, rhythmic 35, resonant 28, galactic 29, planetary 27, spectral 32, crystal 26, and cosmic equals 20. If you were to add those up, it equals 383, right? 383 divided by 13 for the 13 tones equals 29 point, what was it? Hang on, I think it's 29.46. Let me just double check my math real quick. 29.46 is what I'm thinking, what I'm remembering. So let me do this real quick. So this is really cool. 383 divided by 13. Yeah, 29.46. I don't know if you can see that, but and 29.46 rounds out to 29.5, which is the length of a synodic lunar cycle. And another interesting thing is if you look at the number of words for all 13 lunar tones, all of them are one word, except for tone 4, which is key for the numbers 7 and 13. Remember me talking about the resonance of 4, 7, 13? Well, self-existing is 2 different words. So in total, of the 13 lunar tones, there are 14 words. And again, 13 and 14, going back to pi, if you've researched what Marty Leeds has discovered. So if you divide 383, the sum of the septenary gematria values of the 13 lunar tones, if you divide 383 by 14, you get 27.35, which they say that a sidereal lunar cycle is 27.3. But this, because it encodes the synodic exactly, 29.5, it's got me thinking that maybe the sidereal lunar cycle is 27.4. You know what I mean? Or 27.35 as opposed to 27.3. I mean, it's zero point 0.1 off. You know what I mean? But regardless, if it's 27.3 or 27.4, that's still really profound. And so by essentially, like, out of since 2010, 2011, I reconnected back with my spirituality whenever I was done being atheistic and hating God. Around the age of 2021, I reconnected back with my spiritual nature, and or I was like, yeah, 19, something like that. Anyways, coming of age. And at that point, I went to a Unity church and started listening to Reverend, I think his name was Jesse Jennings, at the, what is it? Anyways, I can't remember the church. It's been so long, but, and it basically got me into, like, kind of exploring other cultures and their religions. And ever since then, it got me seeking, because I was in a very low and depressed point in my life, so I started seeking higher wisdom and, you know, reconnecting back with the divinity of life. And it just set me on this path. And I was, you know, I spent years researching and looking at all the different religions and all the different sacred texts and looking at everything. And out of all the last going on 10 years now that I have researched this, the three things that really stayed and stuck with me, the things that felt the most universal with beyond culture, were the law of time, the sacred G-breath technology, and the septenary gematria cipher. Shout out to Jose Arguelles, shout out to Core Love, Corey Herder, and shout out to Marty Leeds. Those three systems of synchronization and knowledge are all connected. And because they're all connected, and because they're all synchronized, and because they're the most profound, over time I started to, you know, compare and contrast and start to look at each one through the lens of the other, and it just sort of opened my awareness to all this very, very deep understanding of this, of that the universe is all connected. Everything is connected. Like, and even going back to the Tao and the I Ching and all the different, like, you start looking at all these, the Bible, you know, like, you start, or the Quran, like, you start looking at all these different spiritual texts, and you realize that they utilize numbers. And to the layperson who has never really looked into these things, they would just see all these numbers as, like, random and meaningless. You know what I mean? Like, it arbitrary, like, they could have used any number, you know? But no, like, look, understanding those three things, law of time, sacred G-breath, and the septenary gematria cipher, utilizing those systems of mathematics, you start looking at all the different numbers that are used, you know what I mean? And you start to realize that there's significance to it. You know, that there are very, very tightly woven matrices that have essentially guided humanity since forever, the beginning of time, into infinity, you know? And it all starts to make sense. It all starts to click into place. But at this point, I'm just kind of like, oh, look at this, look at this, look at this. Like, you know, like, so I got to go to work later. I guess I'm just going to upload this, and until next time, I hope that people are finding what I have to say is useful. Trying to think if there's anything else I want to say. I don't know. It just it makes me curious as to the mystery of life. You know, hopefully we will be relieved of our suffering, and enter heaven on earth, and be provided all the things that everybody deserves: a home, safety, security. Well, I mean, I guess nobody can guarantee safety, but if everybody had a home to live in and a purpose to provide for themselves and the ones that they love, and everybody was given enough food, plants, not meat, and everybody had resources to have musical instruments and like a computer and a means to travel and explore the world and not have to like struggle in this corrupt system to have the things that everybody has the birthright to. You know what I mean? Like they always say like, how are we going to solve world hunger? It's like yada yada. I heard that so many times as a kid, growing up in the 90s and in the 2000s. I heard that so many times, like, how are we going to solve world hunger? Yada yada yada. But it's just like, well, we can start by planting fruit trees and medicinal herbs and vegetables everywhere. Like, just, we have so much soil everywhere, and it's like, we have the seeds. Why haven't we been just going around like Johnny Appleseed and planting fruit trees and vegetables everywhere and just let them grow naturally? Why haven't we been doing that for years? You know what I mean? It's just like, there's so many simple solutions to our problems. It's like, that's the world that I strive to get us all to. One, and to be selfish and say, I want to liberate myself from suffering. I'm not going to deny that. Like, I'm tired of suffering. But at the same time, I'm tired of seeing other people suffer. I'm tired of feeling their pain as well as my own. So that's why I do this. So if I've helped anybody, cool. Until then, we just gotta keep going, I guess. But yeah, I'll see y'all later.